Manchester are united, says Mourinho. What did you make of the way that he approached this game tonight?
I hated the Brighton performance. There was nothing to like about it. Forget the goals that they conceded. I thought there was just lethargic all over the pitch. No energy, no urgency, no intensity, nothing. The first half an hour tonight, I was enthralled. I think we all were watching that game in terms of the sheer energy. It concerned me from a Manchester United point of view as a fan, thinking those players, 6 of them playing for the first time, that the legs would go and eventually that would ease off, the game would settle down and Tottenham would come into it. And when Tottenham got through that first half an hour, the Lukaku chance was missed, you thought Tottenham would then start to open United up, and they did. I felt it went from being a big response with a high energy to looking frantic. And then when you can see goals like that, I mean, we're going to show the goals later on. Some of the defending is...
But in terms of the setup, Gary, Jose Mourinho is someone we always assume with control, and it was more chaotic, wasn't it, tonight?
Dave, the last... I think I've been saying this on this programme for, I think, 14 months now. We've not seen a pragmatic Manchester United team play in big games for a long time. Tottenham away last year, Arsenal away last year, 5-2, 5-3. City at home, when I thought they should be pragmatic and sit back, they actually were open in midfield. So many games now that we've seen where Manchester United have been open tonight, it's unrecognisable. I mean, before the game, my last words going into the game were, this won't be vintage Manchester United, it won't be expressive, it'll be dogged. First 5 minutes, I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? I couldn't work out what was happening. It was almost like a pinball machine. And basically, he just didn't know who was playing where. He saw Herrera. Where's Herrera playing? Is he right back? Is he centre back? You're looking at sort of players around the pitch. Pogba's man-marking Dele Alli over here. And you're looking at it and thinking to yourself, I actually quite like it. It was a bit, they were full press on goal kicks, which we don't normally see from Jose's teams. So you're right. Normally, we'd associate Jose's team with a level of control, a level of organisation. Tonight, there was a real frantic nature to it. I have to say that there was a real intensity that first half. Now, I was sprinting to the ball everywhere on the pitch. The problem was when Tottenham scored the goal, it did then start to become a little bit frantic. But there were elements of that game tonight that Jose describes in his interview, which I actually liked. They were still creating chances at 2-0 down. They were still looking like they were sprinting forward. They're still looking like there was a desperation to get back into the game. None of that was apparent at Brighton. They just rolled over at Brighton. That was nothing. That was a waste of time. Tonight, there was things that you think, well, it represented what Manchester United is in spirit, at least. In terms of organisation and defending, I mean, I have to say, some of the defending, the individual errors, you've no chance if you give goals away like that.
I mean, he hinted at it, Jamie. Do you think that Manchester United lost this game tonight, just in isolation, this game tonight, because Mourinho didn't get the players he wanted in the transfer window?
No, because the team they're coming up against didn't get the players they want. And the worrying thing, Gary just mentioned Brighton. And I actually said on the back of that game, the worrying thing was the second half. Where was that Manchester United sort of thing you're used to of still fighting in the game and still going? I think we saw that tonight. And I agree with a lot of Gary said. The worrying thing is if you've got that in a game and you're still losing 3-0 against Spurs, who we've spoke for how long, a bit flaky away from home. So that you look at it and you think, there must be a serious lack of quality. If you've got top players and you've spent £300-400 million on a squad and they look like they're giving everything, they're pressing, there was energy. I liked what I saw in that first half an hour for Manchester United. Then you think, how do you lose 3-0? So that's a team that still looks like it needs about 200 million spending on it. I mean, some of the defenders there, and Jose Mourinho, let's not forget about buying someone. We've said that, forget that. But talking about Pochettino and the job he's done in terms of coaching players. What has happened at Manchester United in terms of buying two £30 million centre-backs? I mean, Lindelof, I can't criticise Lindelof because it gets to the stage where I just think he's out of his depth and you actually feel a little bit sorry for him, really. He should not be playing at this level. But in Jones and Smalling, have they improved since Mourinho's come? They're England internationals. They're not good enough for Manchester United. I mean, the two of them have been...
who knows about Bailly, because he didn't even answer that question.
Well, no, but the ones who were there tonight, I mean, Jones and Small have been playing for a long time for Manchester United now, and it shouldn't really be happening. at that level, and it shouldn't. So that would be my big worry. If you're getting that intensity and that heart and that this united, as Jose said, which I agree with, and you still lose 3-0, that is very worrying.
I think just one point, Jamie just said that United need to spend 200 million more. Just look at these counters of this team. We set this up before we went onto the pitch tonight. This is the group of Manchester United players. We didn't have a clue how they were going to set up. I'm not sure that you could have given that starting system. I'm not sure anybody would have picked it out of that place. Now, you could say, OK, they've worked on it in the last 3 or 4 or 5 days. But when you think about Tottenham, they're so consistent, they're so stable. Manchester United still looks like you could throw those balls in a bingo machine and anyone could come out at any time. You just don't know where they're going to turn up. You don't know where Pogba's going to be. You don't know where Fred's going to be. Herrera's centre-back. Lingard's all over the pitch. There's only a couple of players that you actually know where they're going to be. Shaw and Lukaku, Jones and Smalling were all over the place. And the problem is there's such a disorganisation to them at times that they were always going to get beat once the game settled down and the frantic nature went. Even though there's a lot of spirit in the performance and running and intensity, there was no structure.
And when you need a goal and you're 2-0 down, who do you turn to? Not Marcus Rashford. Fellaini it was tonight.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you, Marcus Rashford hasn't done that well in the games he's played. I love Marcus Rashford. But you watch his performance against Brighton on Sunday, or in the other game, he's not been that great. I can't sit here and be objective and honestly say that any Manchester United player that Jose Mourinho's not picked deserved to be in. Martial? No. I don't see him play that well that often, to be honest with you. Rashford's not taking his chance. Sanchez, every time he plays, I can't think of the player I'm watching.
Who do you look after that then? We praise Pochettino on the one hand for what he does, and we're talking about Jose Mourinho coming to Manchester United as one of the, greatest coaches, and his record tells you that. Are you looking at the players? Are you looking at the manager for not getting... Should the manager be getting more out of that group of players?
No, the manager always is the person where the buck stops. And Jose Mourinho has been the most successful manager, along with Pep Guardiola, over the last 20 years in football. And he's going through a difficult moment over now a couple of seasons at Manchester United. This is the biggest task he's ever had in his life, the biggest challenge he's ever had in his life in football. And he's got to come out of it. He's got to come out of it, because I have to say, I look at the squad, I look at the team, I'm not quite sure what the best 11 is, I'm not quite sure what the best strike force is, I'm not sure there's a back four there, to be honest with you, in terms, I said that last week. And every time you watch, he's just going to have to back certain players and just go with them and stick with it, because at the moment they are changing, obviously every single game. The buck stops with the manager, it always does, and it has to. And I have to say, at the moment, they doesn't look a balanced outfit there at all.
What of the scenes at full time when we saw... I can't remember seeing this before from a manager, certainly not one who's lost 3-0 at home.
To be honest with you, Dave, he was emotional, and I think that having watched before his interview, I didn't know what it meant. But having watched his interview, I think he was just really... The fans started singing his name with about, I think, 3-4 minutes to go. And I think even Jose is surprised at the loyalty. You don't remember that Jose's managed at Real Madrid, where it's tough. He's seen what's happened at clubs like Inter Milan. I know he was successful there. Chelsea can be a little bit of a brutal football club. There is a spirit at United where the fans will continue to back the players, the manager, through thick and thin. There is still that. Yeah, there are moments where they might boo, they might groan, but generally, they're an absolutely brilliant bunch. And they'll go again to Burnley on Sunday. There'll be 4,000 or 5,000 of them, and they'll go again, they'll sing his name, and they'll sing the player's name. And those players have got to respond to it, because, to be honest with you, that's what I think he was doing. I think in the end, listening to his interview, I think he was just being respectful of what he was seeing.
I mean...
That's a white handkerchief job, by the way, in Spain.
But, I mean, looking at that, listen...
I know that.
Let's be honest, Jose Mourinho was very clever. He's not,
Do you think there's more to it? A political message?
He's not soft. He goes on the pitch, he knows the camera's on him, he's high-fiving all the players. He wants to show a United front. He wants to see the camera on him with the crowd there. That's not the way... You never see Mourinho sort of, when his team aren't doing well, his head in his hands. You never get that shot of him. He's always stood there. I think even his eyes coming out to the pitch today we spoke, he looked really ready for the game. But it's almost like an actor. He wants to show a front of whatever the media narrative is. He's complaining about it, there's lies getting spoken, but he knows the camera's on him there, and that's a case of, I'm high-fiving the players, and with the supporters, there's a United front. You can't deny that.
I get what you're saying, but also, if he trudges off really miserable, we'd read into it. If he goes off smiling, we're saying he's acting. If he comes on the pitch and shakes Shaw, I think he genuinely was proud of Luke Shaw. We kept saying during the game, Luke Shaw was doing pretty well in that game.
But do you think there's a split in the camp, Gary? We were talking a lot last week about Ed Woodward, but surely he can't be blamed for this tonight.
No, split in the camp, to be honest with you, Dave, and I've said this consistently, I've been at all 3 games. I've not seen a group of players that, to be honest, they look like they're throwing the towel in. Tonight, that wasn't a group of players throwing the towel in. They ran all over that pitch. They looked like a desperation more than anything. Like it wasn't even like at Brighton, you thought there was a lacking in confidence and idea. Tonight, they just looked like a desperation and such a frantic. They were so frantic, so lacking in composure at times. Yes, sometimes the defensive mistakes make you through that. And at the moment, what I would say is defensive errors just put trepidation through the whole team. When you're giving goals away, I've been there on that pitch. When you can see goals at Old Trafford, it's a big old pitch, big old stadium, the groans every time it comes near a play. Ooh, are they going to make another mistake? And you lose that confidence and that belief, and that's what's happening. And it's destroying the spirit of the team in some ways, the fact that they're conceding such bad goals. They're such bad goals. I mean, the second one we're going to show you in a bit.
We'll look at them in just a moment, but there will be speculation, and it adds fuel to the fire on Mourinho and his future at Old Trafford. He talked about a difficult moment. I suppose you could say with the last season at Chelsea, that's 4 years of difficult moment for Jose Mourinho. Are you still convinced that he rides this storm?
I don't think you can ever be convinced in football nowadays, Dave, because, to be honest with you, the madness of football. We've seen Louis van Gaal sacked at Manchester United after an FA Cup final victory. We've seen David Moyes sacked with 4 games to go. So the reality of it is we're no longer talking about a football club that is behaving as it historically has normally done. However, it is different times. I accept the difficulties and challenges. My honest view as I stand here now, and I've repeated this message for every single manager I've been asked about in 5-6 years of being on this programme. Edward would give him a contract during last season, only 7 or 8 months ago. He should see that contract through to the end and do the job. You cannot keep jumping around with managers. You can't keep doing that. You've just got to go with it. And my personal view is, yeah, I hear all the third-year Mourinho stories and all the rest of it, and it's coming to an end. And you can't disagree with those stories because there is some history. But what I would say is that it's time now for Manchester United to batten down the hatches, for Jose Mourinho and Edward to sort themselves out in terms of if there is a problem there, and to get the team right for the rest of the season, because the club's bigger than anybody. The club's bigger than any individual, and they have to get themselves sorted. It's not a time for infighting and politics.
Do you agree with that sentiment?
I don't think Mourinho will be the manager of Man United next season. Whether he goes sometime between now and the end of the season, who knows? I mean, I think we said last week that Mourinho is sort of different. We treat him different from a lot of managers in terms of buying the centre-back. I think we were both with him. He's a manager for today. It's not really what's going on in the future. And the only thing I would say is lots of managers can come through difficult times. There's only 3 games into a season. OK, he's lost 2. But Mourinho is all about winning right now. And when it starts to go wrong, at every club he's been to, he leaves, or they sack him, or he moves on. He's never really... I can't think of a tough time he's been in his managerial career where he's sort of come out the other side. It's always been great success, a bit of a wobble or whatever it may happen, and he moves on to the next thing. So that's I think, the difference with Mourinho. He's never proven he can come out of a tough spell.
Yeah, but you say that. He saw the end of his contract at Inter Milan. He saw the end of his contract at Porto.
Yeah, but he was successful.
Hang on. But he saw the end of his contract at Real Madrid. What I'm saying is, he's the only at Chelsea, which is a club of madness, where this has happened. Inter Milan, Real Madrid and Porto, he saw it to the end. So let's not rewrite history in terms of what... I get the point that Chelsea...
Twice at Chelsea, the first time at Chelsea.
But Chelsea, everybody dies a little bit early at Chelsea. You know what I mean? That's that type of club. They all sort of just like get thrown out. Or there's loads of examples of him. He's not on his own there.
Well, what is the example where it has gone a little bit tough for him? That's what I'm saying, when he comes out the other side.
No, but it was tough for him at Real Madrid. It was tough for him at Real Madrid, and he got through to the end of the season. And what I'm saying to you is, I think to do it during the season, I don't see it happening during the season.
Couldn't you argue that Manchester United has become that kind of club? Moyes, Van Gaal? Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, you just... to suggest that Manchester United are like Chelsea, to be honest with you, I think is not right.
I didn't say that.
No, but it's not right. I mean, I have to say that, you know, Manchester United still do things slightly different. But over the last few years, there is an erosion of the beliefs. You said last week that the morals and traditions of playing kids and bringing British man, all that went out the window when obviously they sacked David Moyes and brought in Louis van Gaal. And I get that, and I do understand that. But it's still, to be fair, at this moment in time, too early, 3 games in, to start suggesting that there should be a change of manager or that the manager should be changed. That's not... Nothing could be further from the truth. It has to be that Jose Mourinho is allowed to go through and complete this season, and if he does well, go through the next season as well, which is when his contract runs out.